Howdy everyone, welcome to another episode of Devlogs. We're coming off this week from spring break, hence why this video was an extra week apart from my usual once-a-week postings. While I did enjoy my time, I also took the time to look into a new tracker software for possible music or sound effects, known as the Furnace Tracker. I'll show a snippet of this later on, but let's get into Lesson 7 of the Wwise 301 certification. We'll start with callbacks, callbacks using components, callbacks on a Wwise type event, and activating visual responses using callbacks. When we have posted events in a game, it has been done as follows. A game call is sent from Unity upon posting an event. Wwise receives the game call and returns the appropriate SFX object to the caller, which is posted through the event occurring in Unity. However, calls can be sent vice versa, meaning a call can send information from Wwise to Unity rather than from Unity to Wwise. This is done with callbacks and can detect certain instances of events, such as the start and stop of a sound or moments in a song where a specific sound plays. Furthermore, a callback is an extension of an event. We will have to post an event initially in order to receive callbacks, ensuring that Wwise knows to send a callback to the specified event. To do this, we will be elaborating on the way an event is posted, starting with components. Here's what's going to happen in this scenario. The music for the Wwise Adventure game has callbacks integrated into the music already, with the intent to make graphical elements respond to themes within the music. An example would be trees shaking in time with a particular rhythmic theme in the game's soundtrack. This demonstration will simply show how to enable Unity to recognize callbacks through components. After you see how this works, we'll jump into an example with Wwise types that will go a step further using Visual Studio. There are two types of information that need to be defined in a callback for it to be properly called. First, we assign the function to a game object in the first box here. Next, we specify when the function of the callback is called using callback flags. When the callback type is called, the function in the callback function box will be called. We're going to load the required scene to complete this set scenario, and by the end of it, we'll have a scene where the scale of a tree is modified based on the tempo of the music in the game. I'm going to create an AK event that, at the start of play mode, posts a music region event from the AK event component. After that, I will enable callbacks and add a pre-made rhythmic action script to a tree. Finally, I will enable the script to be called from the music region AK event via callback. I choose the Wwise game object to create the AK event on, though it technically does not matter where I create this component to post the music on. In the property drawer, I find and add the music region song to the component, so it is now ready to play at the start of play mode. Next up is going to a tree game object and adding the pre-made rhythmic action script to one of the trees in the training area. When the component pops up, you'll see the XYZ sliders that correlate to the way the scaling would change for the tree if I messed with the sliders. You'll see me do this just to visually see what I'm explaining. The other sliders can adjust the speed at which the scaling is happening, as well as a randomness slider that can fluctuate XYZ values randomly for better variation. The callback is set up appropriately, so we need to enable callbacks for when the AK event is posted by going back to the component and enabling the Use Callback checkbox. Once this is done, I will drag the tree game object that contains our rhythmic actions script to the game object property drawer. In the callback function text box, I type push actions. This is the function in the rhythmic action script that enables the XYZ values of the tree to be changed. In the callback flags dropdown, I select a notification setting called Music Sync Bar. This makes it so that each time we get to a new bar in the music, the function is called. There are many other options for determining when to call this function as well. Let's see the results. You can clearly see the tree performing a breathing action every time we get to a new bar in the music. This reminds me of how enemies in Mario Brothers would do that dance each time the shout sound played in the soundtrack. Now, With the Wwise type event for callbacks, we're going to create a script that calls multiple objects to change multiple object scalings. To start, I will create a custom script. This is done in the inspector window of any object I want. I choose to create this script in the Wwise game object, as instructed by the lesson. Like I've done in previous episodes, I'll open up Visual Studio by double-clicking the Post Music Component script. Outside of the function, a Wwise type event needs to be made and given a public access modifier so that it appears in Unity. 2 lines above the start function, I type out public ak.wwise.event. After this, I type our property name, music event, and end the line with a semicolon. With the Wwise type event property set up, I can move inside the start function and create a function for posting. I do this by typing music event dot post parentheses game object and put a semicolon outside the end parentheses. Remember that any function created has to be done in between the brackets that define the beginning and end of your function's code. The next thing I type provides the callback flag and callback function for the game objects this event is posted to. Inside the parentheses for our music event line, I add a comma in front of game object and type ak callback type dot ak underscore music sync bar. Now, when we post this event, our specified callback type, aka music sync bar, will be posted alongside whatever game object we later assign. Up next, I add a conversion in front of our callback type, typing out parentheses uint. uint limits the types of values returned to positive whole numbers, which are the only units we need for this function. Next, I will delete the update function line and rename it callback function. I will then list this as an argument in our start function's parentheses, making it so the function is being called by Wwise and seeks the designated callback type. In this case, it is each bar of music encountered in the song, which will then call this function. Next, our callback function needs some attention. The parentheses are empty, yet this function will be expecting to receive information regarding the callback. In the parentheses, I type some code that allows Wwise to receive information about the type of callback, which is currently music sync bar. Our start function is set up, but we now need to make it so every Rhythmic Actions component can be called at once. The lesson has provided a game manager script and labels it as a singleton, meaning it cannot be destroyed during gameplay and is always available. The importance of this is that within the game manager script, there is a function that all Rhythmic Action components are set to listen to, and will always be able to do so during play mode. If we link the Rhythmic Action script to the game manager with the callback function, we can call all Rhythmic Action components at once through the game manager. On a new line in the update function, I type GameManager.pushRhythmicAction parentheses, ending the line with a semicolon. I then save the script because everything is now set up. In Unity, I assign the Wwise type event property to the music region event. To quickly distribute the now ready Rhythmic Action script to all training area game objects, I highlight all objects that start with training area, and within the inspector view, add the Rhythmic Actions component, which will apply to all highlighted objects. When I enter play mode, you will see all objects in the training area are moving as intended. Everything worked. I know that took a bit of setting up. Just know that you shouldn't come out of this expecting to have memorized and understood all that I said. In order for me to digest this information, part of what helps is when I write scripts out for these videos and pretend I'm explaining this to someone. Another thing that could help you if you're going through these lessons is putting a comment at the end of each line of code, saying what the line does. At the end of the day, it's just nice to have the lessons to reference. If I were to be making a game and wanted to use callbacks for activating visual or mechanical responses with auditory cues. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.